Well, that ain't right. Where'd my camera go? One moment, everybody. Why won't it find my camera? Yes, device. It will not show the correct camera. Give me a moment. And we'll see what's going on. I might have to unplug the camera and come back. I will be right back. There we go. Hey! Fix the camera. There we go. Fix the lights. Now the lights are broken. What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. Hope you're doing well. I'm Ian Douglas. I'm the author of this website, Tech Interview Guide, and I'm here to help people get better at technical interviewing and or just interviews in general. I like to offer a lot of advice and perspective on interview skills and career preparation and things like that. I'm going to fix my camera a little bit more, so bear with me. I am still here. I'm just going to have the camera turned off for a moment. If you do have questions, you're welcome to drop those in chat kind of as we go. I'm going to see if I can get my camera working a little bit better here. My Windows machine decided to reboot yesterday and stop working in a lot of ways. And the unfortunate side effect of that was that when I got everything back up and running, suddenly all my settings are out of whack. My camera's not working. Thankfully, my microphone is still working, kind of, although the microphone seems quiet. I will go check that next. So let's get the camera back on. And let's go see what's going on with the microphone. Where's my microphone at? Crisp Yeti default on the Crisp Yeti. Is that any better for audio? If you're hanging out in chat, let me know how the audio sounds coming through here. I think it's coming through a little quiet, which is weird because I haven't changed any settings on the microphone. All right, let's debug this a little more. So Crisp is using the Yeti. OBS is using Crisp. Let's go into the settings. I hate that I have to debug this stuff every time I like reboot my machine. Wouldn't be so bad if it didn't happen. No, Crisp is my default microphone. How's it sounding out there for all of you? Is my voice like super quiet, or is it like okay-ish? How's it sounding out there? Pretty quiet for Tech Dinosaur. Just gonna check some audio signals here one sec. Bear with me. You might hear a little bit of echo. I'll do some testing here. Oh yeah, that is really quiet. Why is that so quiet? Alright, I'm gonna try bumping up the gain. On the microphone itself, let's see if that'll make it any better. Check my mic. Hello. That's a little better, I think. I'm gonna try and bump that up a little bit more over here. Lord Toby, Viable Clan member says it's still quiet. All right, well, hopefully that's gonna be a little bit better. I'm gonna have to go in and like double check all of my sound settings and everything. Is the music coming through? Like, I see that the music is playing, but is it actually like, do you hear music in the background, or is the music also really quiet? I'm wondering if it's like an overall like audio output from OBS that's quiet, or it's a bit quiet. Okay, let me try and bump that one up a bit. See if that's any better. I just don't want to drown out my voice. If my voice is coming through quiet, I don't want the music to drown out my voice. So we'll see. Well, I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Cool. Well, how's everybody doing? Good to see folks in chat. Flora, Toby, and Viable Clan member. Good to see you. Flora, Toby, first time chat. Good to have you drop by the stream. Curious how you found me. Things like that. Again, my name is Ian Douglas. I'm just the author of this website, techinterview.guide. And my whole goal is to help people get better at technical interviews. Just try to find a color scheme there. Throw some blue on in the background. Yeah, this is like, my camera's like really blanched out and like really bright tonight. Like, I don't know what's going on. My main side lights aren't working on the mouse button like they used to. Just all kinds of stuff going haywire for me today. I should have logged in earlier to test all this, so apologies for the technical difficulties, but we'll get through it. Been here once before? Cool. Well, thanks for dropping by. No real agenda for today. In fact, I've still got the old agenda question sitting on there. Let me go pull up the proper agenda for the evening. Let me go find that real quick, and we'll get that displayed under my face. Oh, you came by when I was giving away the 3D printed dragons. Yeah. Yeah, so I gave away like a dozen of those to folks. That was a lot of fun. Sent them all over the place. Question, how do you turn your mic down so low? It wasn't on purpose. So if my mic is super quiet, it's not on purpose. I don't know why it went so quiet. When I play the audio back in another browser window, I think it's okay. Like, I think it's coming through all right now from an audio level point of view. But yeah, let's try and change the music to something a little different. Let's do some lo-fi or something for tonight. We'll just kind of mellow it out for the night. I'm also not feeling 100%, so I was planning on kind of calling it early anyway. There's our regular agenda. Let's see. Sounds condensing. Well, this is a condenser mic, so that could be why. And it's also using the Crisp plugin, so it's using active noise filtering from Crisp. It's Crisp with a K. It's crisp.ai, I think. Drop it in chat. I think that's the website for it. And so it's filtering out like my PC fan. When the furnace kicks in, I've got like a vent literally like right here above me. And you hear the algorithm now? Okay. How do you hear an algorithm? I'm curious. But yeah, it's doing a whole bunch of like audio processing, because I didn't want to put it on like OBS to add all these filters, but I've been actually reading up on some sound quality things. It sucks? Oh no. Okay. I'm happy to take feedback on it if you've got feedback on what I can do to make it better. I've been using Crisp for a long time. Is it worse than usual, Viable Clan? Or has it always been bad? Your brain is more powerful at removing the fan noise than this algorithm. That's interesting. I wonder if it's using the wrong mic. I'm going to test something really quick. No, it is using the right microphone, because when I mute this microphone, my audio stops going out. So I know it's using the Yeti, and I know the Yeti's going through Crisp. None of that updated. Interesting. So the audio is just super bad. Is it like, does it sound like it's clipping? I'm kind of curious. I can try to grab, I'm going to put on some headphones. I'm just going to listen to myself talk in another window here for a sec. So bear with me for a moment while I talk to myself. No, that's my voice. That's not the algorithm. That's how my voice sounds. At least when I listen to myself on another browser window. The audio goes up and down randomly, sorta. I don't hear it going up and down. I did have one bit of feedback from a coworker the other day that said that Crisp might be too aggressive with trying to filter out the noise. That sometimes it takes like half a second for my voice to actually activate the microphone again. So I might try it without Crisp, and I'll try setting up some other audio filters for the next stream. I'll see if I can get that going. I'm all curious what's going on, because my camera still seems really blanched out. Some of my lights aren't working at all. Yeah, just something funky's going on for sure. Let me see if I can get on off for the lights. Oh, now they come on. Okay. Weird. Once I started the Logitech software, now I can turn those lights on, but then I'm like really washed out. Yeah, there's something weird going on with all my settings. I'm gonna, I might just call it early tonight. I'll probably answer a couple of questions if folks in chat have questions, and then I might just call it early and just see if I can like fix the stream a little bit. Thanks for trying to sort it out. You must have quite a lot of kit for this stream. I mean, not a ton. I mean, I've got the microphone, I got the Elgato camera, I've got like the PC doing all of its stuff. And this isn't even streaming out to multiple locations tonight. Tonight it's just going to Twitch. So it's not like it's going out to LinkedIn. I stopped streaming to Facebook. But yeah, something happened on the computer yesterday morning. We're just shut off, and when I tried turning it back on, it got stuck in a reboot loop, and then Windows didn't want to start, and then I got Windows started back up, and then I had to fix a bunch of things. I can't wait for my MacBook to come in for work. Got to wait like another month for that to come in. So I'm hoping that I can stream off of that at least during the day, and then I can just diagnose this thing, and like it'll just be my streaming PC for this stuff. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So hopefully the audio will get a little better, but I'm happy to take feedback. So Viable Clan, if you can connect with me on like LinkedIn or something and chat offline or Twitter or something like that, if you've got ideas around audio, stuff like that, I'm more than happy to take feedback, no pun intended, on audio quality and things that I can do better. I'm happy to consider all of that. So yeah, please reach out and we can definitely chat about that some more. Because yeah, having a live stream where I'm debugging my audio equipment and video equipment isn't a very fun stream. Not that we have many viewers tonight anyway. Got the regular hooligans, looks like, showing up. So 3D Print Fan, Tech Dinosaur. Oh, Python Natives here too. Yeah, all right. So I got the trilogy. Good to have you hanging out, guys. Ukraine thoughts? Ooh. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on the whole Ukraine thing. It's not really something I like. I tend not to talk too much about politics, but yeah, I don't agree with like the reason for invasion and all that stuff that's going on over there right now. So yeah, I don't know. Not really sure. Gosh, how do you even start to unpack like what's going on and how to offer opinions? Like condolences and support are like nothing compared to what they're actually going through. It's hard to imagine like what their day-to-day is going to be like. Like I heard on a news report, they're like, you know, all this stuff started going on and people are like, okay, yeah, you know, it's kind of going on that end of town, but it's not affecting me here. Like even in Kiev, they're like, oh yeah, it's on like the other side of town kind of thing. And then it like gradually started rolling through and they're like, oh, now we better evacuate. It's like, well, why didn't you evacuate before? I mean, me, myself, and my family, like we had those wildfires come through Colorado back in late December, like right around New Year's, that wiped out like a whole neighborhood out here in Colorado. And it got within a couple of miles of our house. And we're like, should we pack? Should we like get out of here? Because we didn't even want to risk being here. Like we didn't want to stay until the last possible moment and then like get stuck trying to get out or something like that. So we were like ready to pack a bag and leave just in case. But I mean, that's nothing compared to, you know, day-to-day war and invasion and having to deal with all that kind of stuff. Like I can't even imagine what those folks are going through. Let's see what else is going on. Yeah, work got really busy for me, but it's been good. If Russia invaded through the Mexican border, would I move to Canada or fight? That's an interesting question. It has come to mind, but more like if the US invaded Canada, what would I do? Would I stay in America and fight for America, or would I go back to Canada and fight for Canada? It's a tough take. Because I mean, technically I'm an American citizen, so I would be expected by the Americans to stay. But I'm still also a Canadian citizen, grew up there, care a lot about the country. So I don't know. It's hard to imagine. Like, it's easy to kind of sit back and go, it's not going to affect me and it's not going to impact me. But I mean, this stuff impacts all of us when it happens. Yeah, gosh, I don't know. I don't think I've sat down to really think that deeply about it, to be honest. Let's see, what else is going on? So yeah, let me go find a couple of questions. We'll go through a couple of questions tonight, but like I said, I'm not feeling 100%, so I might call it a little early, and I might only stream for an hour, and then I might actually just hang out on the stream and just debug audio and video or something, and I'll just put like a big note on the screen saying like, hey, I'm not actually streaming, I'm just trying to fix things. If people want to stay and hang out and help me with audio or, music and things like that. But otherwise, yeah, I'm probably just gonna call it early tonight. I'm also thinking about changing the time of the stream on Sunday. Instead of doing 7 p.m. Mountain Time, I'm thinking about doing earlier in the day on Sunday, like Sunday morning, because I've had a lot more interest from people in the UK that want to hear the advice, but they can't stay up that late because it's like 2 a.m. in the UK right now. Time in London. Yeah, it's 2 a.m. over there right now. In London, much less other parts of Europe. And so I tend to get most of my European viewership on YouTube after I put these videos up on YouTube. And so I've been thinking about doing this stream earlier in the day on Sunday. Do they turn into a pumpkin? Well, no, but I mean, they have to work and stuff like that too. And the whole point of doing this stream is to try to reach as many people as I can. And I want to be able to accommodate live questions and answers and things like that too. I've had a few folks from the UK ask about doing Twitter Spaces, and if I can just do like audio only Twitter Spaces, and I'm happy to do that, but that would also have to be like early in the day. So I'm trying to figure out like a time that I could do that, like Friday mornings, or do it like Sunday morning or something like that, where it's like Sunday evening for them. So as they're preparing for their work week, I can like maybe give them some ideas and some advice to get ready for their interview hunt and job hunt or whatever for that week. I don't know. We'll have to, I'm going to kind of mull that one over, I think, over the next couple of weeks. This Thursday, I've got a whole panel of folks. I've got 5 other people that are going to be on the stream with me. And we're just going to be talking about developer relations, developer advocacy, and so on. Got some pretty fun folks. I've interacted with some of them in the past. Some of them I've never actually met before, but we've had opportunity to chat and speak. And we're basically just going to hash out, like, what's developer relations? What are those interviews like? What's it like being in that kind of role in tech? Do you need to be like extroverted to do that kind of role, or can you be introverted and do that kind of role? What's sort of the expectation in that type of role, things like that. So it's going to be a whole panel talk, and that'll be this coming Thursday on March 3rd. I'm really looking forward to that. Looking forward to that whole group of folks coming and hanging out with us. And then aside from that, I've got one other guest lined up for the end of March. And then I'm trying to find other people to be on the stream in March, but I'm going to have to kind of balance things out with work. So you call these unit tests? I'm not sure what you're referring to there, Viable Clan. Speaking of unit testing, though, I'm going to be running a whole webinar workshop for Postman on March 16th, I believe. If you go check out Postman Space Camp, I'm going to be teaching the session in March and again in May. The one in March is going to be focusing just on like testing APIs and how to do that inside of Postman. And then the one in May is going to be how do we build an API and do it in kind of a little bit of a test-driven way, but in a collaborative testing sort of way with a team. That one's going to be in May, so I'm looking forward to those. But yeah, I got to finish up a blog post. I've been kind of piecing away at this blog post about JSON serialization for a little while, but I got to get that thing wrapped up. I should probably do that tonight, actually. I hate not feeling good. When you don't feel good, you don't feel like working, but then the work piles up. So does anyone use Postman inside of CI? Not in, well, you could. So Postman has a command line interface called Newman. You could install that as part of your CI/CD pipeline and then have it run like testing and so on there to make sure like your API is working as expected and doing your monitoring and things like that. You could do that as part of your CI/CD pipeline, I think. I haven't tried setting it up myself, but as I understand it, the command line interface should work for that. I'm a little bit curious if I can go see any of my other audio settings here. Audio settings. I'm just trying to see if there's like some other audio setting, like a global volume kind of thing, because it seems like everything's a little bit quiet, like the little audio meters. I've got my microphone turned all the way up and it's still only coming out about like 50% strength. So I'm wondering if there's like some other audio setting somewhere, if it's in OBS or if it's in Windows, that's keeping my audio a little bit quieter than usual. Because usually when I have the microphone turned up this high, I'm like clipping like crazy. See if that's any better on the crisp side of things. Because I can turn off the noise suppression completely. Viable Client, I'm curious if you notice any difference. So this is without any noise removal from crisp, but it's still going through crisp. It's just not actually doing any noise cancellation at all for like background noise. I'm just curious if you can spot any difference in that. Ned Fraser, good to see you in chat. Thanks for dropping by. Appreciate that. Always appreciate the support and having people come by. I'm going to turn the noise suppression back on. I don't really have any fans going other than the PC right now, but you know, one of my kids is about to do dishes upstairs, so I don't want all the clanking and banging and stuff. How's everything been with me? Pretty good. Work's been busy. The job's been really busy this past month, just trying to ramp up on things and try to figure out how I prioritize things or how I should be prioritizing things. I'm feeling a combination of imposter syndrome and feeling like I'm not contributing enough. At the same time, I need to realize like I've only been there a month. I'm still learning, but things are good. Feeling a little under the weather this weekend. So I was telling some other folks I might just call it a little bit early tonight. I might answer a couple of like backlog Q&A questions that I've been given and then call it a night. And then I started realizing, well, I'm having audio problems and music problems and camera problems. Like my camera's all, you know, really sort of blanched out right now. So yeah, I need to go figure out what's going on with all that stuff. Because I got a big panel to do on Thursday. I'm having a whole bunch of folks on the stream on Thursday, and I want to make sure that everything is smooth and ready to go and going to work properly. So, but otherwise, things are good. Yeah, how are things on your end, Ned Fraser? Volume sounds good. I know how you're feeling. Got a new job for Sec DevOps, and the caliber of coworkers are amazing and scary. Yeah, DevSecOps is a really interesting kind of intersection of a lot of other skills, like. How do you keep security in the forefront of everybody's mind as they're developing their software and getting all that kind of out the door and tested and things like that? There was actually one company that I interviewed with when I was doing my job hunt back in December and January called StackHawk. And they're basically doing the OWASP Zap tool in CI/CD for like if you're building out an API, as part of the CI/CD testing, it'll actually integrate OWASP Zap tool to like try to kill your API and try to like mangle things and make sure that your API is secure. And if it doesn't pass a security audit, it won't deploy your code. and they were looking for a developer relations person on their team, but they were looking for the very first developer relations person on their team. Like, they knew why they needed it. And they actually had a really good interview process, and I really liked the founders that I talked to. Like, it's a really cool company, really cool product, and I see a lot of growth potential there. I just didn't want to be the first DevRel in a company, because then you still, like, you kind of feel like you're justifying everything you do, but it would have been a really, really cool job for sure. You're building out automation for the same thing right now. Yeah, it's already done. Don't build it yourself. Just go use their product. It's probably cheaper than you building it yourself. Cool. Well, I'm going to dive in on some Q&A. And if you've got other questions, please drop them in chat. I will try to address those as I go. I've really only got 2 backlogged things that I've put into Discord right now. But I do have, I've got other questions backlogged from other sources I just haven't put onto Discord yet. But I do want to start collecting them all into Discord, so I've got one place to see them all. But yeah, you can absolutely drop questions in, and I'll get to those kind of as we go. So this first one was, so actually both of these questions were asked by the same person that I was doing some coaching with, and I've paraphrased them from how they actually asked them during our coaching session, but they're both really interesting, kind of intriguing questions that I want to get into. And actually, before I get to those, I think I'll handle Net Fraser's question, because I think that's a good one too in chat. Net Fraser asks, how do you handle burnout? Burnout is a very serious issue in our industry for sure. You can take on too much and feel overwhelmed, and a lot of people take their PTO or their paid time off in order to recover from burnout. The thing that I've heard that I think is very wise advice is you should use your PTO to prevent burnout. Don't use it to recover from burnout, because if you use it to recover from burnout, then when you go back to the job, you're jumping right back in the fire, so to speak. And all you've done is rest up and try to recover a little bit, and then you're right back in the mix. But if you use the PTO to go do something you enjoy to avoid burnout in the first place, I think it can put you in a better mindset of, a more, what we call sustainable pace for how we do our work and how we do what we do in our job. And so I think that's a big differentiator for me, is using PTO to prevent burnout. For me, I've only been at this job for months, so what I'm feeling isn't burnout. What I'm feeling is just overwhelmed a little bit, because there's so much to learn, there's so much to do, there's expectations on me because they brought me in at a senior level, developer advocate level role, and so there are additional expectations that are put on me that others on the team don't have, and I see them producing things. But most of them have been there for, 6 months, 8 months, a year, up to 5 years. And so they know the product inside and out. They know how to answer questions. Where I get asked a question, I'm like, I got to go look it up. I'll be back in a minute. And just trying to sort of peel back the layers and see how things actually work under the hood and things like that, to be able to answer questions at a technical level. Like, I'm trying to write this blog article right now on JSON serialization. And I want to learn how JSON serialization actually happens inside Postman, so that that's the theme of this blog post of why do we have to use JSON serialization between requests in Postman? And I've got screenshots of under these scenarios, you don't have to, but under these scenarios, you do have to. And I'm just trying to tie all that content together. But I want to be able to understand more of the technical reasons of but why does that happen that way within the product? Because I think that would help people understand more about what's going on. I don't like writing blog posts of just here's how to do it. This is all you need to go do the thing. I want to be able to write an article that talks about this is why you need to do it, inside of our product. This is how we've built it. This is why we've built it that way. And I just don't have that level of knowledge yet. And I'm still trying to figure out who do I even talk to about getting some of that level of knowledge. So anyway, but from your question though, your question's a good one. How do you handle burnout? I would say if you're already burned out, then you definitely need to take some time and find a way to recover. And is the burnout because you've taken on too much? Is it a question of you not setting good boundaries, and is that why you're burned out? Or is it that others haven't set good boundaries and they are burning you out? So it's one thing to take on too much. It's another thing to be given too much. But I think that there's also a balance in there of I could set my own boundary and you could respect that boundary so that I don't get burned out. So I can set a boundary so I don't get burned out in the tech industry, but as my manager or coworker or whatever, like I need to make sure that you understand what my boundaries are so that you don't also overwhelm me. And I think that that's a big differentiator for a lot of folks too, is just understanding like how to set those boundaries, how to maintain those boundaries, how to be respectful about those boundaries. What does it look like to set those boundaries and hold others accountable to say like, no, like I said, I can't take on any more right now. This is, blah, blah, blah. And I've actually seen people like, for example, they'll block time on their calendar. Like, this is my quiet study time. Like, don't bug me, no meetings, like just about consider me like being offline. Like I am untouchable. I'm unapproachable. Like I need this block of time just to get my work done. This is my focus time, as they call it. And I think that's a really wise thing to do. I think setting that kind of time is going to be really healthy and helpful for a lot of people in the tech industry. But other people need to be able to respect that when you say like, this is my focus time, you need to like leave me alone for a couple of hours so I can get some work done. They need to respect that. And if they don't respect it, then it's on you to reinforce that and say like, no, it's my focus time. Like, I'm not going to answer. I'm going to like shut down all my notification things. And I'm just not even going to like get to your question. You can try to reach me. I'm not answering my phone. I'm not looking at my email. I'm not looking at Slack or Discord or like any other channel where you would normally reach me. I'm just not going to pay attention to any of that. The problem I have is a lot of the information I'm looking for is in Slack. And so if people try to connect with me on Slack, I'm going to see those notifications popping up. And so there's a boundary that I have to be able to set and hold to. So if you're already burned out, you need to find a way to get yourself out of that and get yourself back into a mindset of enjoying what you do to where you don't feel just tired all the time. Like it's mentally exhausting, but it can also become emotionally exhausting to try to keep up with burnout. And how do you find good, healthy ways from a physical and mental point of view? How do you find healthy ways of dealing with that to not stay in that kind of environment and sort of move past it? And I think it really does come down to setting those boundaries and holding others accountable to your boundaries and making sure that they're being respectful about it. I think that that's a big part of it. If you are on the verge of burnout, then again, I think it's wise to take time off to prevent the burnout instead of taking time off to recover from the burnout. Because when you come back from the burnout, that's where you've got to like make sure you've got all those boundaries set and things like that. So that would be like the first couple things. So I worked one job where I was so burned out, I was ready to leave tech. And that was like 2009. It was a job I was working between 2008, 2009. It was in Santa Monica. And I was just working ridiculous hours all the time. I missed most of the first year of one of my kids' lives. Like my first kid, I missed most of the first year of his life because I was working so much. And it sucks. Like looking back on it now, it's like one of my biggest regrets. It's like I shouldn't have worked a job that put that expectation on me. At the same time, it's also a little bit on me of I should have been better about asking for help. I should have been better about putting my foot down and say like, no, I can't work another 90-hour a week. Like I'm burning out here. Like, and so it got to a point where I'm like, hey, I need to take some time off because I'm burned out. And they're like, well, how much time are you going to take? Like a couple of days? I'm like, no, I'm taking like 2 weeks off. Like I'm going to get off the computer. Like nobody talk to me. Like I need to go recover from this. And they're like, well, we'll just tell people that you're working from home and not to bug you. I'm like, no, I'm taking time off. Like, don't tell them I'm just taking a couple of days off and that I'm working from home, because then they're going to call me. They're going to email me. They're going to expect responses. Like I'm literally unplugging and going offline. Well, like 2 or 3 days into that 2 weeks, I'm like, this job sucks. And so my recovery was to quit the job. And I went in like a couple of days into that PTO or the time off that I was going to take. And because I had also negotiated with them, I'm like, you've worked me so hard, you've burned me out that I'm taking 2 weeks off, and I'm not taking it as PTO. You are giving me 2 weeks off in lieu of pay of like overtime and whatever, because of all this extra time that I've been putting in. and they agreed to it. And then like a couple of days in, I'm like, nah, I changed my mind. I quit. And I walked in with a resignation notice. And then I took most of that month off. That was like the month of November of 2009. And right at the end of that month, I found another job right away. And then I only worked that job for like a month. And then I found like another job that I wanted more. But I was burned out. I was ready to leave tech. I was ready to go study literally anything else and get into any other kind of industry. And I was joking with people all the time. You know, if you've been around the stream, you've probably heard me joke that I almost got out of tech, and I'm like, I might as well go become a plumber if I'm going to deal with crap all day. You know, I'm just going to go like study plumbing because I'm going to make just as much money, but I'm not going to have to deal with 90-hour work weeks and whatever. So yeah, that was kind of how I handled it. Is poorly, I think, is how I handled it. I think that there are definitely better ways of doing it. And in retrospect now, I think taking more time off and having more tools at my disposal would have made my job a lot easier. Since leaving that job, I've been a big advocate of testing, like software testing, because it wasn't really a thing back in 2008, at least not with the tech stack I was using. We didn't really have software testing tools for the kind of software that I was writing in the stack that I was in. If I had, I would have been writing unit tests and integration tests and not have as much stress because I would have known before deployment that my code was going to break. But I didn't know that. And so I had to deploy the code and like cross my fingers and say a prayer and, hope it was a full moon or something and just, pray that everything was going to work out okay. And if it broke, I had to roll it back right away because it was impacting like actual business. And then every minute I was down, I had like this giant backlog of log data that I had to go back and reparse and reprocess really quickly because my system was meant to be near real-time data processing. And so every moment it was down, like we were basically losing money. And so it put a lot of pressure on me. And I was asking for help. I'm like, I need someone to help me with this software. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll get to that. We'll just, show somebody else what to do. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. I need somebody full-time to help me in this role. Like I'm literally working more than 2 full-time roles, like keeping this thing up and running. And I just got ignored by management. So I finally left. So in retrospect, yeah, I would have done things a lot differently for sure. Cool. See a bunch of new viewers hanging out. Good to have everybody in chat. I'm Ian Douglas. I'm the author of this website, techinterview.guide. And I'm just hanging out, helping people with ideas about like interview preparation and career preparation. Oftentimes, a lot of stories of what not to do in the tech industry, similar to the last little rant I just kind of went on there about burnout. But Ned Fraser, I appreciate the question. Burnout is a real thing in tech, especially for senior level devs. I think as an entry level dev, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, but feeling overwhelmed is different from feeling burned out. Being overwhelmed can lead to burnout, but I think that they're 2 very different things. Carmen, good to see you in chat. Hello. Give you some blinky lights and some applause. Haven't seen you drop by in chat in a while. Yeah, I think being overwhelmed can lead to burnout, but I think if you set good boundaries and you are aware of what your boundaries are and other people will respect those boundaries, I think you'll have a much easier time for sure. Cool. All right. Well, aside from that, yeah, again, if you've got questions, you can drop them in chat. I've got 2 backlog questions that I want to get to. And as I mentioned earlier, they're actually from the same mentee that I've been working with. Excuse me a second. And both of basically these scenarios kind of came up while we were chatting and doing some coaching, and so I kind of paraphrased them and wrote them down because I knew that I wanted to address them on the stream. And basically the first scenario was they were asked to go to an all-day interview, but part of that interview event was actually it's going to be a group event, and I had to ask them a bunch of follow-up questions to kind of get the scenario of like, wait, they're interviewing like a whole bunch of you for the job at the same time. And they're like, well, kind of. And basically what it is they're a junior dev. This is going to be their first tech job. And they're going to an event at the company. So it's a company hosted event where they're bringing a whole bunch of people in because they're hiring multiple people. They're hiring multiple folks in the role. And And so this whole day event, you're basically interviewing yourself with different teammates. But at one point during the day, they're going to have all of the applicants work together on something. And so the way that I kind of paraphrase this question is basically I was invited to an all-day interview event where one part of the day is a group activity with several other interviewees. We're all going to be different levels, but mostly juniors. What should I expect? And I thought that it was kind of an interesting sort of scenario. And I did something similar to this when I worked at SendGrid. We were hiring several intern roles. And so we brought like a dozen people in to interview all at the same time. And we did kind of like a speed dating sort of round of interviews of like, you're going to jump from person to person to person. And then we did longer interviews with people. And then we did like, pairing activities where we paired different groups of them together to work on little challenges and whatever. And at the end of it, we hired 2 people. And those people worked out great. And one of them I still stay in touch with to this day. Well, I guess we last spoke like maybe a year and a half ago. A really great guy named Adam. Loved chatting with him all the time. And he was a fantastic intern. He was like super go-getter, very took initiative very well, took feedback very well. Yeah, just fantastic engineer. And and so for this person that I'm mentoring and coaching, they're basically, what should I expect? Like, what should I do? How should I handle this group sort of activity? And I said, well, here's what I think they're going to be looking for. They want to see how well you work on a team. And so what I would do if I were him, and this is the advice I gave him basically, was find a way to keep the team coordinated and working well together, because that's what the people at the company are going to be looking for. Like, all right, let's keep an eye on Ian. Let's see how Ian does, during this group sort of thing. They want to see how well you get along in the group. They want to know how well do you communicate on the team? How do you work on the team? How do you divvy up the work? And if you can be the kind of person who sort of ties others together and say like, hey, Carmen, like, haven't heard from you in a minute. Like, what's your opinion on this or that? Or how do you think we should handle this kind of thing? Like, if you can have that kind of role, not that you're being like a leader, but that you're being a collaborator, like you're making sure everybody's collaborating well. I said, I think that's going to really make you stand out as an applicant, because yeah, you're there to make the team better in some way. And hopefully that's through your technical skill, but they also want to be watching for other skills other than just core technical, like, can you write code kind of skills. They want to see how well you're going to work on a team. That's why they've built these little like group assignments to work together on something. And so they're going to be looking for people that can kind of coordinate the team and make the team better in some way. So whether you're documenting things or just working on collaborative communication, like whatever that might be, I think that those would be good things to kind of take into account and plan for. And so they took the advice and they're like, okay, that sounds pretty good. So yeah. A couple of people redeemed some points. So Carmen wants a dad joke. Hey Carmen, you know why you can't tell a kleptomaniac a dad joke? They take everything literally. And thank you for the hydration as well. Ned Fraser, I appreciate that. Worstoto asked in chat, are Russian devs going to demand crypto payment after these sanctions? I've heard that crypto is going to play a big part in getting around like the US dollar restrictions and things like that they're putting on them. But Russia's also been working for the last couple of years on like getting off the US dollar anyway. I was listening to something on NPR where they, over the last couple of years, they've been talking to China and other European countries about trading in the Chinese yuan and the European euro to get around US dollars. So they've been actually weaning themselves off the US dollar for several years anyway. So whether they're going to lean really hard into crypto, I don't know. I saw a headline about it, but I'm not really into crypto myself. Someone else asked in chat, like, what's my opinion of Web3? I'm like, it's a thing. I have opinions on it, but they are biased opinions, mostly out of ignorance because I don't know enough about it. What I know about it, I don't like. but I will also admit that I'm not super educated on it either. So I still have more to learn. Cool. Let's go to the other part of the question. So basically the first part of the question from this person was like, what should I expect in this group activity? What should I be doing? And so on. And so I kind of gave my thoughts around like, just be a collaborator, help them document things, help people stay coordinated and communicating and things like that. Like certainly you have to contribute, but if you can also show them how well you work on a team, I think that that's going to really stand out and go a long way as well. And then a second question that they had during the session was basically like, as a junior dev, when I get a technical challenge, I always want to start with a brute force approach, but I worry that my interviewer will think negatively about it. What do I recommend? And you've heard me say on the stream, like when you get a technical challenge, I like to do a 4-step process. One is like restate the problem. The second part is ask questions so that you really understand everything they want you to do. The third step is write out some notes and some pseudocode. And then the fourth step is actually go write the code. The more of the understanding and analysis you can do while you're writing out the notes and the pseudocode, the faster you're going to get through that design stage. The thing to keep in mind there, and for this particular person, they're like, well, I always tend to default to like brute force approach, which isn't ideal for many technical challenges and many companies. They don't want to see a brute force approach. And I said, well, here's the thing. Brute force is okay as long as it's only like you only take that so far as your pseudocode. When you get into the real code, you shouldn't be coding brute force anymore, unless you really can't come up with anything else. And then, yeah, you have to answer it somehow. But if you can write out the pseudocode for the brute force approach and then look at that and kind of take a step back and go, I don't like how I'm doing this. I think this part could be optimized if I did this instead. If you can look at pseudocode and critique it and make it better, then that's going to look better for you as a candidate, because they know that you've got like sort of deeper design skills to know, like I can look at something and I can figure out a way to make it better. And so I think if you can start with brute force in your pseudocode, but then examine that pseudocode really hard, like take a really critical eye on it yourself and go, what can I make better about this? How can I do this better in some way? Make the pseudocode better and then go write the real code. If you absolutely cannot come up with anything else, then go code the brute force approach. So starting with brute force is totally okay, but you don't want to code the brute force. So if you can write that out as notes and pseudocode and say, well, this is like the worst way that I could think about building it, and now that I've got that written down and just out of my brain, because sometimes when we're trying to come up with the idea in our brain, it still feels a little scattered, like puzzle pieces kind of scattered around the table. But as soon as you start writing it down, it's kind of like grouping up the pieces a little bit. Even if you're not fitting them together, you're still kind of grouping up the pieces, like these pieces kind of look the same and these pieces kind of look the same. And that's where writing out notes and pseudocode can really help organize your thought process. And then once you actually see that written down, it lowers the cognitive load in your brain. And now that that's written down, you can take a more critical look and go, okay, well, now that I've written all that down, this is what I'm going to do differently. I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to change this to do this instead. And then ask the person their opinion. Just say, what do you think of this? I always tell people when I'm coaching them, don't ask it in a way that sounds like, does this look okay to you? Am I on the right track? Things like that, because those phrases make it sound like you're not confident in what you're building. But if you just literally ask them, what's your opinion of this? They'll tell you. They want to see you succeed by that point. And so they are happy to give their opinion. So just ask them for their opinion. And then say, like, do you want me to get started on this? Do you want me to take a different approach? They'll tell you. If they spot something, or if they think that you're missing like an edge case or something, they'll tell you. And then you can go adjust that in your pseudocode and then go work on the real code from there. So yeah, starting with brute force, totally okay. Just don't stay there. If you can, get it written down, see if there's something you can optimize about it, and then move on to your real code after that. Carmen asked in chat, what's the best way to reach out to people in a company you apply to, like LinkedIn versus Twitter? Personally, I never go on LinkedIn. It depends on the company. It depends on like the kind of people that you're trying to reach out to. I know a lot of developer relations folks trend toward Twitter more than LinkedIn. More businessy people like sales and marketing, they're going to be more on LinkedIn than on Twitter. So it really depends on who you're trying to reach out to. If you're trying to reach out to engineers, probably neither. Engineers are probably going to try to avoid LinkedIn, and they're probably only on Twitter as a distraction. So where do engineers hang out? I mean, they're going to be hanging out in like Discord communities and Slack communities and things like that. So you might need to try to find ways of meeting them that way. One other tip that I've shared on the stream in the past is go look up the company on LinkedIn, go get a list of their employees, and then see if you can find any of those employees through meetup.com, and reach out through meetup.com, because that should send them an email saying like, hey, Ian sent a message to Carmen, like, hey, Carmen, Ian sent you a message on Meetup, blah, blah, blah. And now they log into Meetup, and now they see that you've got some common ground because you found a Meetup where they're maybe a member, and you can kind of say like, hey, I see you're also part of this Meetup group, and, I want to join like this remote Meetup thing, and just kind of curious what your experience has been. By the way, I see that you happen to work at such and such a company. If you've got a minute, I'd love like a 5-minute chat. I've got like 2 questions that I'd like to ask about working there. And literally make it like 5-10 minute phone call. Don't drag it out, and don't just say like, hey, have you got some time for a phone call, and just leave it open ended. Just let them know, like, I want like 15 minutes of your time. I've got like 2 questions to ask about what it's like to work there or apply there. I just kind of want to get your take. Bring very specific questions. Send the questions ahead of time. If they don't want to do a coffee, maybe they'll answer asynchronously, or give them the option in the email and just say, I'd love to do like a face-to-face call if you're open to that. If not, here are the questions. Well, I want to give you the questions ahead of time anyway. If you'd rather just do it asynchronously, like, I'm okay with that too. I think a lot of people are going to appreciate that you give them the option, that they don't have to feel pressured into like, oh, I got to do a Zoom call with somebody I don't know. They're probably way more likely to just answer a couple of questions asynchronously. And then you can thank them profusely for their time and say, that was awesome, appreciate it. Would you mind like a follow-up question from time to time? Could I reach out like in a week if I have another question? You'll probably get a yeah, because you've been considerate of their time and considerate of their feelings and things like that. They're probably way more likely to continue to communicate with you around that kind of stuff. So yeah, give them the option of like, I can hop on a call, or we can do this asynchronously. I'm cool either way. And give them that option. I think a lot of people will appreciate that you're thinking of that. Yeah, that would be my 2 cents there. So, I mean, if you're not a fan of LinkedIn, or you're just not used to using LinkedIn, that's okay. Because you have to be comfortable too. That communication layer, that communication channel has to be something that you're comfortable with as well. So find what's going to make you comfortable. Find a way to make that work out. And if that's not using LinkedIn, then don't use LinkedIn. Like I said, it really depends on who you're trying to reach out to. If you're trying to reach out to DevRel, it's probably Twitter. If you're trying to reach out to engineers, probably Meetup or Stack Overflow, or find Discord communities, Slack communities, where people from those companies may hang out. It may be hard to try to track down like, well, where does Ian hang out? Like, what Slack communities is Ian a part of? Because it's not like I write that list down anywhere. And so you might just have to join a handful and then see like, is anybody from the company in that community? It'd be the same sort of lookup that you would do on meetup.com anyway. You're going down the employee list and you're looking for, JavaScript communities, and you're looking for Bob Smith in JavaScript communities, and see whether the profile picture matches. And if it matches, it's probably that person from LinkedIn. And send them a message on meetup.com. I think the idea with connecting with them on meetup.com or some other forum is you're showing that you've got that common ground, and they're more likely to kind of interact with you. Where like people, like I know people that absolutely hate getting messages on LinkedIn, and it's not like people are going to be publicizing their personal emails and things like that. But I mean, if you can find their email, you can connect with them that way. I think like if you go to my GitHub profile, I think my email address is right on there, because I'm happy to take emails from people. I can't always guarantee a quick workaround or turnaround on communication, but you can certainly email me anytime. Carmen also recommends virtual coffee. Yeah, I do as well. Is it virtualcoffee.io or .co? I forget. But yeah, really, really great community there. Actually, I reached out to Bekah, who runs Virtual Coffee, and Bekah's going to be on a live stream with me at the end of March for Postman. So we're going to coordinate on something fun to do there, and should be a good time. Ned Fraser says, "Be right back, no problem." So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not feeling 100%, so I'm actually going to wrap up in probably the next 10 minutes. But I'm happy to hang out if other folks have questions or things that they would like some ideas or perspective on. I'm happy to hang out and chat for a little bit. And then I've got to fix like my camera. I've got to like look into these audio issues and see if I can figure out what the heck's going on with my system since it rebooted, because a whole bunch of things are all out of whack. Like all my sound settings are out of whack and things like that. So I gotta go piece some of that together a little bit, I think, and see what else is going on. Virtualcoffee.io. Thanks, Carmen, for dropping that link. Oh, hey, look what I just found. I just found my microphone setting, and now it's super loud, and now I need to turn this gain back down to where it should be. Hello. That's better. That's way too loud still. Let me turn it down at OBS as well. Ta-da! If Viable Clan member is still there, I'm curious if that's any better from a volume perspective. But hopefully my voice will come through a little bit louder and maybe a little more clear. It sounds a little better when I unmute it in another browser tab, so apologies for some echo that you're going to get. I sound great on your phone. Yay! Yeah, that stream is going to be, I think, March 31st. And it'll be on the main Postman channel. So I'll drop that in here, twitch.tv, get Postman. And then I've also got a link down here below my face, Ian the Postmanaut. I'm also streaming that during the week. And while I'm here, I'm going to be giving away a copy of a graphic novel that we made at work called The API First World. It's really well done. The illustrations and everything in here are really great. And it's basically talking about like how APIs run the world these days. And I'm going to be giving away a copy of this on my stream. I'm working through the 30 Days of Postman challenge. And I think I just did day 28, or I'm about to do day 28. When I do day 30, whoever's hanging out with me in chat that day, I'm going to give away a copy of this book. And I will ship it to you free of charge. Sound 10,000 times better than us trying to get our stream together every Wednesday. Aw. What's this new channel I have? So Ian the Postmanaut is basically me streaming at work. And so I've been streaming my 30 Days of Postman challenge, where it's like learning all the product features about Postman. It does so much more than what I used to teach. Like I used to teach like this much, and it's like this massive product now. So I'm actually going through the process of learning everything about Postman, and it's great. Once I wrap up that 30 days and give away that book, I'm actually going to stream a lot less. I'm not going to do it every single day. I might do it like maybe twice a week. And I want to live stream like, hey, here's me tinkering with some APIs in Postman. So I've been doing things like getting these lights to blink if my Twitch follower account goes up and stuff like that. So it's pretty fun, just playing around with different APIs, mashing them up. Like, oh, what if I can take this bit of information from this API and send it over to that API, or like mix and match this stuff. Postman is great for testing. Absolutely. It does so much more though. You can set up monitors, which are kind of like timed jobs that it just, it'll run like every hour, or every 5 minutes, or every third day of the week or something like that. You can set up mock servers. So if you're trying to collaborate with somebody else and you're waiting for them to actually go build the API, you can kind of mock out what you want that API to be. And now Postman's actually running that as a mock server while you go build your front end. You can just connect to Postman, and it'll give you back all these mock responses. Like it's all built into the software now. It's really, really neat. Does all kinds of really cool stuff. So yeah, so I got a copy of that book somewhere. Oh, right behind me. Still in shrink wrap. Still shrink wrapped and everything. But wait, there's more. This one might be a bigger draw than the book. I actually have some Postman socks that I'm going to give away as well. And so they're very fun, like space themed socks. So I'm going to give away a pair of Postman socks and this book when I do my 30th day of the 30 Days of Postman challenge. But you have to follow Ian the Postmanaut. I won't be streaming on this account. You need to go follow this other account, Ian the Postmanaut. And when I do day 30, I'm going to give these things away. So yeah, come by and hang out, chat, make some noise, all that kind of stuff. It'll be a lot of fun. What else happened today? I went shopping today. I got some new Funko Pops. I got the new Hawkeye, because I'm a big Hawkeye nerd. Every MMO I've ever played, I've always been an archer of some kind, and so like archers are big for me. And then I'm also a big fan of Ming-Na Wen, who was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well as The Mandalorian and Boba Fett. And so I picked up the Fennec Shand character from Boba Fett. And then for those that saw, I made that like enormous Batmobile. Actually found like a smaller version of the Batmobile in Lego. So that's like my 5-minute chore later tonight. So yeah, good times. I love just nerding out on these kinds of things. I've got like a whole wall of Funko Pops. Well, it's a cabinet more than a wall. And I'm just like loading them up, and it's like full of Marvel Funko Pops that I get. So since I'm on my phone, I clicked on the link to follow, and it booted me out of this one. Oh, no worries. Hey, Zooey, good to see you. Such an amazing actress. Yeah, she really is fantastic. Yeah, it's been really really neat. Like I was a huge fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Marvel show, and it ended, and everyone's like, oh, they should bring it back, and they should do more like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then of course Clark Gregg went on to be Coulson in the movies. Well, I think the movies actually overlapped with the TV show, so that was pretty fun to watch. But I think that there were so many characters from the show that I would love to see in movies, and get more involved in the movies and things like that. Like they really need to make like another like Shield movie with like Nick Fury and Maria Hill and like all those folks, and Emily Van Camp, who did Peggy Carter's niece. I forget what her actual character name is. But Emily Van Camp is like another actress. She's from Canada, so of course I follow Canadian actors. So yeah, it would be neat to see all of them like get like a Shield kind of movie or something. They've already done the TV series, so I don't think that they would bring all that back. But we're going like way off the rails here tonight on the channel. We've been nerding about cameras and audio and Marvel and Funko Pops, and we've had like 3 questions about interview prep, but that's fine. Hey, interview question. How much should you focus on GitHub during a job search? Should you have projects deployed? Should you have only recent projects posted? Should you be contributing often? This comes back to a theme that I talk about quite often on the stream of like, how do you juggle all this kind of stuff? Like when you are job hunting, how do you balance company research and working on projects and building resumes and reaching out to people and especially if you're working, it's a lot to juggle. So I don't know that there's like a strict answer to that. I think a lot of employers will look, if you present a GitHub profile on your resume or you tell them that you have projects on GitHub, they're probably going to go look at your GitHub profile. And I was coaching somebody recently where they're like, yeah, I'm having a hard time getting a job. And I went and looked at their GitHub, and their GitHub's completely blank. They had like a couple of green dots like last summer. They had a flurry of activity in October, and they've done nothing since October. And I'm like, well, yeah, if I was an employer looking at this, I'd be like, are you really a coder? Like, how are you keeping those skills sharp? Like, are you just sitting around watching Netflix all day? Are you actively doing development? Like, what are you doing to make sure that, because they have a university degree and they've been looking for a job for a year. And I'm like, well, according to your GitHub, you haven't actually been coding. Like, how are you remembering all of these things? Because it's one thing to hire a new grad where all this stuff is like fresh in your brain. It's another thing to hire someone who's effectively been out of the industry for a year and not actively keeping those skills sharp. And so do you have to actively, build lots of projects and maintain lots of projects? I think that there's a balance to strike where when you know what kind of job you want to get, go build those kinds of projects. If there are specific companies that you want to target, build projects similar to what they do. Or if, even better, if they've got a library or an API or something like that you can consume and use in a project, go use that in a project. Because then when you do that introduction, you're not just like, hi, I'm Ian, I've got technical skill. You're like, hi, I'm Ian, I'm actually a user of yours, and I like what you do so much, I want to come work for you. That strategy works. It got me the job at Postman. I love Postman. It wasn't just me like, oh yeah, I love your company. No, I legit love Postman as a product. And I taught using Postman, and I liked it so much. I'm like, please, can I have a job here? And they're like, yes. So it really does make a difference if you can be a user of theirs somehow, and then turn that around and say, hey, I've enjoyed this user experience so much, I want to come be part of the team building this. It really changes that introduction. So, I mean, should you have projects deployed? I mean, for me, I like to experience things that you've built. I often joke, it's like, no offense to anybody, but like I could teach my 2 kids how to upload code to GitHub, but it doesn't mean the code's going to work or be meaningful to anybody. So just having code on GitHub is one thing. But if it's like, oh yeah, here's this Rails app, and it's like, I'm not going to take the time to download a Rails app and install it and see if it's working and all that kind of stuff. I'm just not going to bother. But if you have it deployed somewhere, like if you can go put that up on, go put it up on Heroku or something like that, where I can actually go see it live and I can experience it, that's so much more powerful for me as a hiring manager to go experience what you've built and not just go see that there's code. So at a minimum, get it on GitHub, sure. If you can also deploy it, that's like above and beyond. And I think that a lot of employers will appreciate the above and beyond part of it. Did you miss the fact that I work at Postman? Yeah, I've been working there for a month now. Yeah, and I love it. I'm doing developer advocacy for Postman. Absolutely love it. It's a lot of work though. I'm starting to feel that little bit of overwhelmed of like, oh, there's still so much I got to learn. Like we were doing this thing called Learn, Teach, Learn, where it's like you go learn something, then you teach it to all of us so we can all learn that thing. And they were asking hard questions. They're like, does the free plan do such and such? I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, yeah, you should probably go read the page with all the pricing information so you know what's part of the free plan, what's part of the paid plan. I'm like, all right, I'll go add that to the list of things to study. And so from that perspective, I do feel like it's a bit much, but I am having a lot of fun at the job. It's a really great job, really great team. Love the people that I'm working with. Let me just scroll back and check because I missed a question, missed a couple of them here. Thought I did. So there's one from Stephen Hungry. Good to see you drop by. Are RSUs bought on your start date or can they appreciate? So typically with RSUs or reserve stock units, you are granted RSUs. Not sure why that just blanked out on OBS there for a sec. You are granted you're granted reserve stock units on the day that you are hired, and you gradually vest them. That's called earning them. So you're promised an amount of stock and you earn them over time. And then whether that converts into dollars or whether it converts into shares depends on the company and the agreement. Usually they'll convert into actual shares, and then you actually own shares in the company and you can turn around and sell them whenever you like. Hopefully they are appreciating or growing in value over time. But typically you don't have to buy the RSUs. If you have incentive stock options or ISOs, those you have to pay the company money and invest your money in the company, and then you own the shares. And so once they go public, the general public is investing in the shares. And they basically raise a bunch of money to sell a bunch of shares, and then like brokerages are the ones then selling and buying the shares and so on. The company doesn't actually make money. If you go out and you buy 1,000 shares of Coca-Cola doesn't get that money. Some brokerage gets that money. Coca-Cola, by making those shares available, they raised money from the brokers. That's as I understand it. I don't understand everything about the stock market, but it's something like that. With RSUs though, because the company's already public, you are just given those shares. You are promised those shares, over an amount of time, and they just convert into shares. And then you get to do with that whatever you like. If you want to hold on to them, if you want to sell them, that's totally up to you. So hopefully that answers your question, Stephen. If you've got follow-ups, I'm happy to give you my perspective on that. Dev Crush, good to see you in chat as well. I just now finished curating my portfolio for GitHub. Should I give it to you to talk about sometime in the future? Yeah, if you want to. I'm happy to do that. Typically, I would say like whatever projects you're promoting the most on your resume, make sure you pin those on your GitHub profile. The GitHub profile will allow you to pin up to 6 projects. And if you've got, say, 10 projects on that really long form resume that I talk about all the time, but when you actually go, to apply for a job, you're going to put like the 3 most relevant projects to that company. You want to make sure that at least one of those is one of the pinned ones on your resume. You will find over time that as you apply for jobs that you're going to sort of promote some of your own projects more than others. Those would be the ones that you want to make sure are pinned. So if they go look at your GitHub profile, they see them right away, that they don't have to go hunt through all your repositories to find the thing that matches. So that would be one thing I would take into account there. Stephen Hungry followed up. So how the price of the stock doesn't matter if you sell it right away. So if you are given RSUs and they are like you vest those RSUs, so you earn those RSUs and now you're given shares. If you turn around and sell them right away, you're going to get what we call short-term capital gains. So whenever you turn around and sell a share, the difference in the value of when you got it and the value of when you sell it is subject to capital gains taxes. How long it's been since you got it and when you sold it determines whether it's a short-term gain or a long-term gain. And the short-term gain is usually within 1 calendar year. So if you earn the share this month and you turn around and sell it this month, that's a short-term capital gain and you're taxed at a higher rate. And it will typically be whatever your personal income tax level is, which is anywhere from like 25 to 40%, depending on your tax bracket. If you hold on to it for a year and then sell it, then it will be long-term capital gains and you're taxed at usually half that rate. It's usually more like 15 to 17%. And so it's beneficial to hang on to them for a long time. And then hopefully over that year, the value of that stock goes up. But it will depend a little bit on the company and what your agreement is. Some companies will say, like, once you get the shares, you have to hold on to them for a certain amount of time before you can sell them. They don't want you to just dump the shares like the day you get them. But you'll have to read the agreement that you get from the company around what you're allowed to do and when, because it will vary a little bit from company to company. Some of them, like I do know some companies that they're like, oh yeah, we'll give you RSUs, but really we're just going to convert it to like whatever the cash value is. So like, we're going to give you, say 10,000 shares and our price today is $10 a share. So that's $100,000 worth of RSUs. And on the day that we would, sort of vest those for you, let's say the price goes up to $12. Well, let's say we're giving you 100 of those shares. We're just going to give you $1,200. We're going to take those 12 shares, or we're going to take those 100 shares at $12 and we're just going to give you the cash. And then you'll get taxed on that as like bonus money or something like that. So it really depends on the agreement. You're going to have to find out from the company how they handle that from a financial point of view. Most companies that I know of, though, that deal with RSUs, they're actually giving you shares of the company and not just cash. So, Carmen, thanks for the bit. Yay, 1 bit. Cool. I love the little confetti and stuff bouncing around. Actually, I guess they're I think it's a little ball like bouncing around the screen. Cool. Carmen says you got to head out. Thanks for dropping by, Carmen. Good to see you. Cool. All right. Well, I think I'm going to wrap up. Like I said, I got a busy week coming up and I'm feeling a little under the weather. So yeah, I'm just going to call it for the night. I got some audio video stuff that I need to kind of go fix and deal with from there. But appreciate everybody hanging out. Thanks so much for the questions. And thanks for folks that drop by on the Discord channel. If you do bang Discord, oops, put it over here, bang Discord. Come join us on Discord. If you've got questions, you can ask over there. You can also DM me on Discord, as well as DMing me on Twitter and LinkedIn at any time. You can ask questions anonymously, and I will always present them anonymously. I will never give your name. Hitter Carey, good to see you in chat. Haven't seen you in ages. Thanks for dropping by. So yeah, you are welcome to send me anonymous questions at any time. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Tell some friends about it. Share the videos. I get more viewership on YouTube after the fact, and I'm horrible at marketing. And so I would love any assistance there on YouTube. And if you're super bored, if you have nothing better to do with your life, and you want to help me out by making some chapter markers with timestamps on the Q&A sessions, like just go back and listen to one and be like, hey, you asked a new question at this timestamp. You don't have to do like a whole session, but if you could like drop some comments and help timestamp some of those, I would greatly appreciate that if you're super bored. But yeah, aside from that, we'll wrap up for the night. It is the end of February already. How's it the end of February? It's ridiculous. It's the end of February. My youngest turns 11 tomorrow, and so we're excited about that. So yeah, we'll call it for the night there. Let's see who's online. Who's online that we can go raid? Anybody got any favorites of who we can go raid? None of my usuals, I don't think, are online, but let me go double check. Let's see, DeWitt is online. Sam KitKat. Coding a Wordle game. Doing some 3D stuff. Building Lego. Python data science. Doing some music. Anybody have any favorites that they want to go raid? Feel free to drop some names in chat, and we'll go find somebody to raid. Otherwise, I might just pick a random person to go raid. Python data science, maybe. Or some music. Let's go see what kind of music it is. Last time we raided somebody, I didn't pay attention to who we were raiding, and it turned out to be a bad idea to have raided that person. So I'm going to go check them out real quick, see what kind of music they're playing, and then maybe we'll go raid somebody with some music. Bob Ross is streaming. Well, the company that owns the Bob Ross stuff, they stream his stuff every weekend now, and I would love to go raid them, but they don't allow incoming raids, and I don't really agree with how they do the business practice and stuff, but I love just putting Bob Ross on in the background. Looks like we got some reggae and some Bob Marley going on. Venice Beach, California. No, I don't think we'll raid them. Bald Engineer. I don't know. Who should we go raid? No suggestions in chat yet. Building a gaming PC. All right. If there's no other suggestions, we're gonna go raid some Python. Cool. We'll catch you over there. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. This Thursday, please come back. We've got a whole panel talking about developer relations. There's going to be 5 other people plus me, so it'll be the biggest panel that I've had. We're going to talk about what DevRel is and what those interviews are like and what it's like to do DevRel work. So please come by and hang out with us Thursday, same time, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers.